Hello and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So in this episode I'll be discussing Dreamworks 2015 animation Home, as directed by Tim Johnson and is loosely based on Adam Rex's 2007 children's book The True Meaning of Smek Day. The film sees a race of extraterrestrial beings known as the Boov fleeing their current world in fear of being attacked by the formidable and fearsome-looking Gorg. The Boov are masters of running away and have done so many times before. They are organised and very intelligent, but fear the wrath of the Gorg with a passion. And so, in their latest attempt to escape, they find the perfect planet to hide out on. Ours. And with only a primitive species to relocate, namely us, the takeover will be easy. The invasion, in fact, is a breeze. The Boov are so organised, it's such a peaceful transition. The humans are simply bubbled away from their everyday lives and the entire population relocated to Happy Humans Town. Well, basically Australia. One Boov, however, the aptly titled O, as voiced by Jim Parsons, starts to see things a bit differently when he inadvertently sends a housewarming invite to the Gorg, sending the Boov into a frenzy and himself becoming a fugitive in the process. Along the way, to correcting his mistake, he bumps into Gratuity Tucky, or Tip to her friends, as voiced by Rihanna. A young girl who got left behind, if you like, when her family were then moved by the Boov. With a streetwise attitude and a lot of grit and determination to find her mother, she and O, enemies at first, granted, learn the true nature of friendship as they transect the globe in a flying car powered by slushies. So, overall, I thought this was quite the bright and breezy piece of cinema. Nothing too extraordinary and obviously aimed directly at a younger audience, for which I think it suffered, certainly in kind of trying to hold your attention, but for the most part it was a pleasant experience, with some really nice touches here and there that did make it enjoyable for what it was. The first thing that stands out really is just how peppy this movie actually is. It is so just kind of full of bright and bold and vivid colours. It looks like somebody's basically emptied out a pack of Crayola, and it's filled with such kind of this bubbly appeal that even when the Boov are carrying out what basically tantamounts to being an invasion and the forced relocation of the human race, somehow it still actually feels like it should be fun and a vibrant experience, Now, I do speak from experience when I say that moving home voluntarily is stressful enough. Never mind being made to do it against your will. And so in this, for me, I didn't think the film sends quite the right message. Now, I'm not saying about moving specifically, but what the Boov actually do in this movie is not too far removed from what other cultures have done to other cultures, and indeed we still do to ourselves in this world. And this film simply makes it feel like a walk in the park as we kind of breeze by, chewing some Wigglies extra and dancing to some Rihanna, Now, I am being a bit cynical. I know it's a kid's film, granted, but there are simply no consequences for the Boov's actions and for me, it's something that should have been addressed at some point. I mean, the human race doesn't even put up a fight. It simply looks like we wanted to be taken over, Now, I know Australia is a nice place, but not perhaps with the world's entire population crammed in. Interestingly, we are invaded by a cowardly species, and we seem primitive to them, not appearing to pose any threat. But the filmmaker's journey to make these creatures as cutesy and as funny as possible, I think they somehow missed to show us just how such a species would actually be considered superior. Sure, they have the tech, but we never actually see them do anything. Even when O makes the slushiest, which is the name affectionately given to the slushy-powered flying car, nothing, nada, Just a walla walla hooray and there's the car. you know, and overall they are as depicted as actually being not too bright. Certainly not in a crisis. And so in this, their intelligence is never actually shown, nor really tested. And I think, indeed, it's even mocked at times, in that it doesn't always make too much sense. And indeed, it really does play to a much younger audience than many of some of the other DreamWorks animations have, you know? And there isn't that kind of same mix of humour for the children and the adults alike. It's not as smart, shall we say, as other DreamWorks animations in that sense. I think it would have been interesting to see the Booth in a lot more depth. They were an intriguing species, but we learned very little about them overall when you really think about it. Just that they're organised and like to run. We never really know what makes them tick beyond this kind of aim, which is a shame. And there is certainly quite a bit that's kind of more insinuated than other. I did, however, definitely enjoyed the road trip angle that the film had and the introduction of the slushiest, you know, the flying cat. With all its gadgets and its gizmos fashioned from the machines and treats in a convenience store, that was a riot to watch. A little bit akin to 2009's Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, that's what I thought. Perhaps in some ways, but it was cool nonetheless, you know? I love the way that it almost had a life of its own and the way that the characters connected with it on a personal level, you know, like so many of us actually do with our cars. Indeed, I do think that the two main characters themselves in the movie they actually make this film what it was. It is their relationship and their friendship in the face of everything that the Booth have done that forms kind of this emotional backbone for the story. Both actors gave a very heartfelt performance, I thought, for each of the characters. And I thought which it was indeed one of the most delightful aspects of the movie. The way that they have portrayed O does actually play really well to Jim Parsons' strengths. I really did think so. And the character acting that we have and we are used to from The Big Bang Theory, I think it really did. Crazily, you know, I do actually kind of enjoy his voice when you think and watch it on screen. It's irritating. It's got that hint of sarcasm, hasn't it, as he kind of pulls through. And I think for the most part, it was a really, really good fit for this character. Arrogant, yet reserved, you know? And indeed, saying that, I actually think Rihanna did a surprisingly good job. I think she actually lent her voice very well to the kind of the sassy and the independent Tim. In fact, Rihanna actually produced a concept album for the movie, which a number of songs are actually used in the film. And I think this kind of just shows that the kind of investment that she wanted to have with the movie, which I think does actually shine through in the movie itself with the role that she portrays. And amongst the, you know, the bold and the bright animation, there are also a couple of dazzling scenes. I thought they really did very well, particularly whilst Tip and O are travelling across the sea. They actually stop over, actually on the sea itself, and the scene that is portrayed is really simply magical and breathtakingly detailed. It is a lovely scene. And then there is like a Star Trek-y type kind of moment, and there's when the Gorg ship is crashing through the rings of Saturn, which is equally as impressive. And as you know, as the movie does kind of move along in this respect, it does get more emotional. And I do have to be honest, there are a couple of moments at the end which really did pull at my heartstrings. And considering the rest of the film in context, they were quite powerful and indeed, in one occasion, quite shocking. I didn't even know at that point that I had become as invested as I had. So certainly elements of the film do indeed shine through. I'm not saying they don't. And it did indeed have more heart as it went on. And as it became more of a touching story. Especially towards the end. So overall, this is a very colourful, very bubbly and peppy feel-good movie. Great for a younger audience, I think. And perhaps, you know, that don't perhaps ask too many questions, you know. But not really capturing any truly remarkable moments or really offering any substance of any great shakes for an older audience. There isn't really just any kind of real peril, if you know what I mean, for what actually transpires during the movie. Yes, I know. I'll say it again. I know it's a kid's film, but everything kind of just seems like it's kind of wrapped up in this cotton wool and kind of padded out with some more bubble wrap, you know? They never handled the kind of the ramifications of the Booth's actions on the human race. and never really indeed explore the booth in any great detail. With the style, the characters and comedy, you can see that Dreamworks, I think, were indeed kind of trying to emulate the success of the previous movies, and indeed those of Illumination, you know, of course, Minions fame, you know. It is a good movie. It is a decent watch. It's quirky, and it's a cute adventure. Just not one of Dreamworks' best, you know. So, that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button. Yeah, for more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and other movie-related content. Absolutely loved having you here at SciFirst Movie Talk. Definitely love to have you back. But most of all, just thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.